So, in a couple days, Rockstar Extended Look hits Netflix, and a lot of people are assuming that we're gonna get some gameplay. We might get some gameplay, but no one has actually confirmed that. It could be gameplay, it could be cinematics, it could be developer interviews. Right now, we don't know what we're gonna get. But here's what we do know. And, honestly, this is what matters regardless of whatever Rockstar shows us. The game is not finished. It might not even been close to being finished. And that's not me reading this from the leaks that have all surfaced in the last week or so. And it's not looking at Reddit. It's basically it's Rockstar's own reporting that is 3 months before launch. But you need to understand what not finished actually means in game development. And once you figure that out, I think you'll watch Thursday's presentation on Netflix in a very, very different light. So creds are up top for the curious people, and let's get into it. So a lot of people said that they saw the leaked footage and they had one of two conclusions. It was either, whoa, wait a minute, the game is basically done. Why don't they release it? Or, woo, that looks really, really rough. Rockstar is going to have to sell this puppy hard. And I think both of those conclusions come from the same misunderstanding. Near the end of the game like this, there's a pretty specific progression of how the game goes. Here's a few production terms I'm going to throw out there. You've got feature complete. This is when the systems that are going into the game and all the features, such as like you saw in the leaks, you saw the combat wheel and how the actual combat works. Those are working in the game in some working form. The other thing you have is actually content complete. That's when all the missions, levels, artwork, everything that needs to go and be seen in the game is actually baked into the game and it's actually playable. But then becomes the big slog of game development, which is bug fixing, optimization, polishing the game, going into certification, and eventually you get a gold master. And when certification is released, what you have are release candidates. So, release candidates, I remember for Gears 3, we had, I believe, 7 release candidates that we released to certification. What happened is that certification come back with a bug or a showstopper. We would have to fix it. We'd have to rush to get it back into certification so we wouldn't lose our place. So we did that 7 times. And that was the eventual hope to get through to the gold master. The gold master is pretty far off because Bloomberg has a reporter named Jason Schreier, and he's pretty accurate in covering game development. And he said that this month that GTA 6 is still not finished. He said there are thousands of people around the world still working on it, and it's only 3 months before the November release. It's not that, oh, there's one last bug to be stomped out, or they're just putting the finishing touches on it. They're still working on the game, and that's confirmed information that we have from him. And that doesn't actually mean that Rockstar is in trouble. It just means we're looking at a game that's still in production. So if Thursday's extended look actually includes gameplay, you're not watching a build that is actually going to ship. You're watching footage that has been captured and actually trimmed and prepared and gone over with a fine-tooth comb for a marketing presentation. And it's pulled from a game that's actually being worked on today. And if Thursday we don't get any gameplay, that's not necessarily a red flag. Rockstar has a habit of not showing gameplay until around 70 days before launch, which means the official gameplay footage might not be seen until September. Now, I know that doesn't make a lot of you happy, but that's their pattern. Now, I know some of you are going to bring this up if you have binge watched my old videos. Back in May, after the Take Two earnings call, I described the game as being at the alpha stage. This is where content is locked and the focus is shifting towards bugs and polish. But before that, in January, Jason Schreier had reported that the game wasn't content complete yet. And now we're in August and we're still hearing that, hey, GTA 6 is not finished. So was the prediction I made in May wrong? No. But this is where there's subtleties in what's going on here. Not finished and not content complete are not the same thing. Content complete means the missions and major pieces of the content are built and locked. That doesn't mean that there's not work happening on it. And after content lock, there's still a lot of work happening. You got bug fixing, performance could be crap, polishing some of the assets because you've got content in, but it's not polished. Maybe you have a building that's just in there for placeholder and the artist is working on it and he's going to replace it. You have certification, you got the finalization of builds. And throughout the whole time, everybody is doing testing and fixing the things that break during testing and then fixing them again. And they break again and they fix them. So when Jason Schreier describes the game being in its final sprint, that sounds like it's in the polish phase on its way to certification. Rockstar is still working on it. Nothing in his August comments that he made in Bloomberg actually contradicts what I had to say in May. I'm just pointing that out. So to show you the reasoning, then quietly hoping nobody will notice the difference in between the videos. And I can see what you're saying in your mind. You're saying that, whoa, wait a minute. It's been 12 years of development and they're still not finished 3 months before launch. They should be, ready to ship this game. And you might think, oh man, well, that sounds horrible. Well, it does sound horrible. And I'm not going to pretend that everything is all rosy. But the thing is that studios run out of runway and time. Good teams with a lot of talented people can get themselves into situations where that due date is calling for them and they start making some decisions that the calendar is making that for them and they're not in control of their own destiny. And I've seen a lot of those versions from the inside. It can be, a little bit risky, but for a studio like Rockstar, is that actually unusual? Or is exactly what we think is going to happen at this stage? So here's my opinion, and I'm just going to try to be very clear about what I'm saying here. And this is my guess of the episode from production experience. And it's not something that Rockstar has confirmed. Back in May, when I did my video, I laid out a projected certification timeline for GTA 6. My expectation was, alpha bill would be locked around early July, beta console submission would be through early August. Then there was an additional development window running into early September. After that, they got a code candidate that's going into testing, and console certification would start around September 15th. We're sitting almost exactly inside that additional development window. And that's why that timeline matters, because even if my timeline isn't roughly right, it's Rockstar's past content lock. It's they're polishing bugs and finishing up the systems that are in the game and optimizing performance and going into cert, which is exactly what Jason stated. It's still not finished. It's the final sprint. And that's what it looks like from the outside. And we have another Rockstar game that's, of course, useful as a comparison, Red Dead Redemption 2. Red Dead Redemption 2 took, almost 8 years to finish and cost Rockstar around 540 million bucks. That final stretch, even with all that money and time being spent, was exceptionally brutal on the developers because there was a lot of bug fixing and polish in the final months going into release. Rockstar is not sitting there at last minute deciding what the game is going to be. They're busy finishing it, testing it, fixing any bugs, breaking the game probably again, fixing it, and it's all in that iterative cycle. That's game development in a nutshell at this stage. Not finished in August and ships in November doesn't actually mean that Rockstar is behind. Based on Rockstar's own track record and the timeline I built out back in May, my opinion is that this schedule is pretty much on the mark for a game this large. Now, that's my opinion. That obviously I don't have Rockstar calling me up on the bat phone and let me know what's going on. And what does this actually all mean for Thursday? So, possibility number one is Rockstar shows gameplay, but the footage was actually locked and captured specifically for this presentation. It could have been captured weeks ago or months ago, and that's completely normal because marketing footage is totally curated, edited, and polished. The shots are chosen and the camera is controlled. The best looking version of any particular sequence that they're going to show is definitely polished to high heaven. And that's how game marketing works. It doesn't mean we're looking at the current development build. It doesn't definitely mean we're looking at the final version of the game. You can have incredible piece of marketing footage, as I mentioned, sitting on someone's hard drive while thousands of developers are still working on the game around the globe. Those two things are not in opposition to each other. Those are totally normal. And let's say that in scenario two or possibility number two, Rockstar doesn't show gameplay. They show cinematics and developers' interviews, maybe some behind the scenes tutorials, but that isn't really throwing up a red flag either, because marketing and game development don't have to move in lockstep. Rockstar can absolutely decide, as they have in the past for other promotional material, such as with San Andreas, where they cut a whole bunch of cinematics together. We're going to show you this part now. We're going to save gameplay for later, like we did in the past. That doesn't actually give us the current state of the build. It just tells us what Rockstar wants us to see on Thursday. And that's the biggest thing I want you to take away, is that whatever we see Thursday should not be treated as the final word on how GTA 6 looks or plays. If you get gameplay, some of the things you're seeing could still change before November. I keep saying, because Rockstar is still into production mode. They're still moving this game through, and that's what game production is at this stage. It doesn't magically stop because you've got to create some marketing footage. As I mentioned in another video, they would pull stuff off, but I mean, they had to go right back into making sure the game shipped. So I've got two predictions for what we're going to see on Thursday, along with my other predictions you can check out in the other videos. If we get gameplay on Thursday, I don't expect any meaningful downgrade between that footage and what we get at launch. And my second prediction is that my main timeline is going to hold. Gold announcement around late October, and no delay announcement at all before it ships on November 19th. Again, this is the straight version of what's out there. I'm not reading into anything. I'm just taking my own professional guesses. If that's something you enjoy, hit the subscribe and the bell down there, because I'll definitely be doing a breakdown of the extended look after it airs, and I'll be actually doing some live stream of that. But the honest version of what this video is today isn't that Rockstar is behind. This is what a 12-year project looks like shipping right before launch. It's going to be right up to the final bell when this thing goes out. So Thursday doesn't change any of that. It gives us our first real look at actually what Rockstar wants us to see after trailer 1 and trailer 2. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the live stream for the extended look. That'll be my next new video that will be shot live and put up. So until then, take it easy, and I hope to see you there.